I'm Anita.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, and today we're going to be talking to you about resilience and what it means to be resilient. And you might be thinking, what is resilience? What does that mean? And I was thinking the same too when I first heard the word. So I've got the official definition for you, and that is the ability to be happy or successful again after something difficult or bad has happened.
To put it into simpler terms, we've got a practical example for you. Just imagine that you're walking through quicksand or maybe thick mud. Your feet are getting stuck and it's really hard to move. Every step takes a lot of strength and effort. At this point, you might be feeling stressed, anxious, annoyed or mad, and ready to give up and just stay where you are. It would be easier to stop trying. However, to keep on fighting in the situation and overcome the struggle even after getting stuck shows resilience.
Have you ever heard of Katy Perry? She sold over 18 million albums worldwide and over 125 million singles. However, her first album only sold 200 copies. Even in the next 10 years, her music didn't receive any attention. You could say it was a complete failure and nobody would have blamed her for giving up at that time. But she kept on fighting and she bounced back because she was resilient.
I've got another example for you. I don't know about you, but I'm a huge fan of Disney. I could sing along to all the lyrics of Tangled, and I could tell you Tony Stark's entire background story. But did you know that Walt Disney was not always as successful as he is nowadays? He was fired from his job at the newspaper, and then after creating his own company, Laugh-O-Gram Films, it went bankrupt really quickly. But now he is the creator of Minnie Mouse, and he has made over 58 movies. By not quitting after his first failure and by being resilient, he continued in his career and made movies for all of us to enjoy.
We understand that you might not be able to relate to Katy Perry or Walt Disney, so we've got a few examples of how you can be resilient in your everyday life.
Not getting the grades you wanted on an exam, but still trying hard with your lessons and trying to get better grades next time.
Struggling to follow or understand a lesson in school, but keeping on going and asking for help when necessary.
Learning a new skill in the fields of sports, instruments, or arts always takes time, but if you're resilient, you'll quickly get better and better at it.
And now we'd love for you to take a minute to discuss with a partner about a time where you've seen someone being resilient.
So we've thought a bit about what resilience is, but what does that look like for you? How can you learn to become resilient? Let's start with thinking about who we are. I wonder if you would describe yourself as a confident person. No, I don't mean loud and outgoing necessarily, but confident in who you are. Self-confidence, having assurance in yourself, is something that we all grow in and learn over a lifetime, and actually it has a lot to do with resilience. Being confident in ourselves is about being content and settled with who we are, not striving to be someone else or crumbling under pressure. It's about knowing that you won't be shaken about by the stormy things in life, but being able to hold your ground and stand firm.
I have a pair of walking boots. They're quite old and tatty now, but they've really helped me. I've had to climb steep hills and mountains in those shoes, and where I might have been worried about falling, actually with each step I had confidence in the grip on the soles. They stopped me from slipping where I could have otherwise done so easily. Being resilient is a bit like wearing the right shoes. I could choose to walk up a mountain in trainers or flip-flops, but then I shouldn't really be surprised if I trip or twist my ankle. And in the same way, if I choose to stand firm, if I have a solid grip on who I am and I'm confident in where I place my footing, then when tough situations come, I'm less likely to fall. Now, life throws all kinds of things at us, and they're not always good things. But we don't have to just absorb the bad stuff and let it become part of who we are. We don't have to break under the weight of it all if we learn how to stand firm and deal with each thing that comes our way.
So for example, someone might call me ugly or stupid, but I can choose what I do with that. I can become knocked down by it and let it become part of who I am, or I can put on the right shoes and I can stand firm and stand my ground. So try thinking of resilience as a bit like your ability to catch a ball. Now we're going to have varying levels of skill here, but let's take Doug as an example.
Now, this ball represents the stuff that life throws at us. That might be friendship problems, difficult schoolwork, worries, anxiety, illness, that kind of thing. And some of these things are inevitably going to come our way at some point. But let's see how Doug responds. Oh dear, this hasn't gone too well for Doug. But the good news is this doesn't always have to happen. A bit like how we can practice how to catch a ball, we can improve and develop our response to the things that come our way. Let's try this again. See, this time Doug was able to catch it.
So the same for you. If you can practice healthy ways of dealing with stuff as it comes your way, you too can grow in resilience and you can remain standing when things get a bit tough. Don't worry though, it's normal for us all to get knocked down by stuff sometimes. We're not always prepared for the tough stuff, and that's okay. And in a minute, we're going to talk about how you can practice resilience. So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. When have you been knocked down?
So we thought about being resilient in our work and in our identity, but we can also be resilient in our character. There was once a guy called Joseph who lived a long time ago. Now Joseph was a farmer and he lived in the area we now call Israel or Palestine, and he lived there with his 11 brothers and their household. But he was his father's favourite. He was even given a special multicoloured coat to signify that he was his father's favourite. There was one occasion where he was telling his brothers about a dream he'd had, where they were all ears of corn, but he was the tallest ear of corn, and they all bowed down to him. So his brothers decided, let's kill him. I mean, that's a slight overreaction, right? Thankfully, the older brother stepped in. No, we can't kill him, he said. We'll just sell him into slavery instead, because that's much better. Anyway, Joseph does get sold into slavery, and he ends up in Egypt, being bought by some guy called Potiphar, who was a really rich guy. And here we see the first sign of Joseph's resilience. See, he was a good guy. He worked really hard, and in the end, he got promoted, ended up being head butler of Potiphar's household. But Potiphar's wife took a liking to Joseph, and basically she tried to get him to sleep with her. Every time Potiphar left the house, his wife would hit on Joseph again and again. But Joseph, being the good guy he is, said no every time. Now, she was not happy. She was not used to people saying no to her. And eventually, she told Potiphar, but she told him that Joseph was the one who was trying to sleep with her. Potiphar was furious and had Joseph thrown into jail. There, in the darkened Egyptian jail, we see Joseph's real resilience. Considering everything that had happened to him, you'd forgive him to be a bit mean, a bit annoyed at the world, but he's not, and his good character remained. Joseph cared for and looked after the other prisoners. even sharing his wisdom with them, especially when it came to interpreting dreams. Some of them were high-up officials who eventually recommended Joseph to the king of Egypt, the Pharaoh himself. The Pharaoh was so impressed by Joseph, so impressed by his character and his wisdom, that he had him promoted to look after all the food in Egypt. When a famine came to Egypt and the surrounding countries, people came to Egypt to seek food, and Joseph took them in and helped them. One day his brothers came too. Yep, the people who wanted to kill him and sold him into slavery in the first place, those brothers came to him looking for help. But Joseph was resiliently good. He took his brothers in, he forgave them, and he fed them. See, Joseph believed in God. He believed that he was God's child, that he was forever loved by the creator of the universe, that no matter how other people treated him or what people said about him, he knew his identity, and that could never ever change. And that's what Christians believe too. This gave Joseph the strength to be resiliently good in his character no matter what life threw at him. And that's been the story for so many others throughout history and millions of people today. Being resilient in our work is important, but being resilient in our character is equally important. You can practice this in everyday kindness, being kind to the people around you no matter how they treat you. So what helps you be resilient? What helps you walk through that thick mud, or stand up when you've been knocked down?